Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, as you will see, it's slightly different to the norm. The reason for that, it was more of a holiday rather than an outing. Me and my wife were celebrating our anniversary and we decided to head to the lakes for 3 days. Rather than not doing a vlog, I thought what I would do and how this video will differ, I will do it as a narrative voiceover for you, as the lakes are too beautiful not to showcase. Here we stayed at a place called Troutbeck, which was about 2 miles or so outside of Ambleside and Windermere. Beautiful, quiet place. As you'll see from the drone footage, the white building in the middle was the Mortal Man. This was a place where we stayed, pub cum restaurant, beautiful place, oldie worldy. Every evening we did a circular walk from the Mortal Man, which incorporated the church you've just seen. Now the walk passed several old quirky buildings. As you can see, this one was slanted, but there's all the old stones. Plenty of old barns, as you can see, and beautiful cottages dotted around there. Plenty of these wells dotted along the country lanes. Here's a church from the drone, as you can see, stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It was a lovely sunny evening, as you can see, and that was part of what we encountered. Now for a holiday we had clear blue skies and that was fantastic. Not so for the photography, as you can see. Here I fly back towards the village of Troutbeck, and what will come into view will be the Mortal Man. Now, as you can see, it's a beautiful countryside, lovely evening sun with those long shadows. Plenty of trees, and the one coming up on the right just over the wall really stuck out when you're down there. There's a Troutbeck. We have the Mortal Man. You can just see the beer garden as I start to fly backwards. So you can imagine where we were staying. Lovely and quiet, plenty of wildlife to listen to if you like that sort of thing, with the birds twittering in the trees and what have you. And you can see the mountains in the background. On the first morning we visited Ambleside and decided we were going to do a walk. Ambleside's a quirky, bustling town, but the walk itself to Stockgill Waterfall, you leave Ambleside and walk up following the stream. Now there's not that much water in the stream on the back this time of year, especially after some dry weather. As you can see, there's plenty to photograph and catch your eye. All the old stone bridges here and there, plenty of wild garlic, buttercups and what have you. The sun was dappled through the trees, gave some nice contrast with the light and the shadow. During the walk we came across this bench covered in moss. Great to see nature taking over. There's the actual Stockgill, and you can see not much water there, but it was still quite picturesque. During the walk back we discovered this wild garlic patch here. If you could smell this, it was really strong. Loved the way the dappled light was casting those contrasts, as I said earlier, and the photo will be up at the end. This fallen tree, the root system on here, but they're still alive. You could see things growing, so you can tell it had been fallen over or blown over for some time, but yet half the tree roots were still underground, keeping it somewhat alive. From here, in the morning we moved on to Rydal Water, and we were going to visit Rydal Cave. Now some of these hillsides, as you'll see, I won't say were covered in bluebells, but it was sporadic. As you can see, people here just outside the cave had built these man-made pyramids with stone, and there's Rydal Cave itself. A bit surprising, I hadn't been before. I thought it would be down near the water, but I was wrong, it's not, it's up in the hills. A very touristy place. This was a bit more honeypotty if you like, but it wasn't too bad. Lovely place to visit. plenty of trees with the roots sort of showing, always catches the eye. This is just leaving the cave around the corner. Another little, I'll say, chasm with a few more little caves. I didn't really have time to explore. Here's a little stream. Now this, you can imagine, after heavy rains or in winter, would flow down to where that person with the dog is, and that walking path would probably be more of a stream or a river. The old gnarly tree. Here we have some forget-me-nots, we think they are, and a lovely view of Lake the Rydal. Some fallen dead trees down there called the Eye. Now down at Lakeside here, we just thought we'd cool ourselves off, dip our feet. We were walking about roughly 19,000 steps a day, so I don't know what that equates to in miles. On day 2 we visit Coniston Water, where we bought a walking map. That was a 5-mile circular which incorporated the old railway station, as you could see. We passed some really beautiful, well-kept cottages, as you can see, who had fantastic views overlooking Coniston Water. As you can see, further on there was more cottages to see overlooking the mountains as well. The walking path was lovely. The first part of it, you're not by the lake, you're just walking through woods, past those quaint cottages, still hugging the old railway line. What was really fascinating though, as you see, some of these trees had the nature. You had fallen branches, little trees, twigs growing out of other trees. Here you see plenty of lambs, newborn lambs, black ones as well as the white ones, and plenty of buttercups. The thing on this walk, at the first part of it, you could see plenty of these fields which were left as a bit of a nature thing. As you'll see as we walk further on, some fields had more buttercups than others, and the photos will be up at the end. They're a selection for you to see what I mean. It's really picturesque. As you can see, you got the mountains in the distance. See what I mean about the blue sky? There was a little bit of interest in the sky this time with the clouds, but for the holiday brochure look or the picture postcard, then that's ideal, but not really for photography, for landscape. Here we see a little patch of bluebells on these fallen trees, and the nature, as I was saying, still sort of taking over, little ferns and what have you. The thing in the lakes, as you know, there's plenty of stone walls, etc., quirky. This was part of the walk as we were now nearing the actual Coniston Water. We just walk over these footpaths here with the roots of the trees showing through, and as you can see, there's Coniston Water coming into view. When we got down there, we decided, like we did the previous day, we'll just cool off, have a little bit of a picnic. We took our rubbish home, by the way, which is what all sensible photographers, walkers, etc. do. But the old steamboats were starting to appear on the lake, running as they do from the centre of Coniston. The old boathouse here, and you can see in the distance, albeit from the vlogging camera, this was one of the steam gondolas. The old boathouse, very picturesque, and the tree roots sticking through. After being refueled with our picnic, we then moved on to finish the walk. The walk, generally speaking, from here hugs the lake, but you do walk through some lovely campsites where plenty of tourists and campers were. This time of year, as we walked through, as you see, there were not quite as many people as you expect. You can imagine in summer it would be absolutely overrun with tourists. Here's some more old barns a walk goes through, lovely winding roads, and it was at this point you could start to see a little bit more of the buttercups, especially as you got up nearer the road. A couple of cows were near the fence there, chilling out. It's just overall scenery is stunning. And here we walk past all the lovely buttercups. This was a beautiful field. Took a picture here, which I'll put up at the end. The walk was drawing to a close as we were heading back towards Coniston now. As you can see, it's such a beautiful scenic walk. dotted around. In the afternoon we headed down. We thought whilst we were there it would be rude not to show a little bit more of the lakes itself. Seems it's been mostly in the countryside. So we walked down towards Windermere, or Bowness as it was, and here we are now at Windermere. These were some of the steam or the tourist boats coming in. One just docked there, all the tourists getting off, and on this side you can see the queues waiting to get back on. So it's a very, very popular place, as you can imagine. In the afternoon we decided on the way home we would stop at Leighton Moss, which as you can see is a pretty massive RSPB place. Clear blue skies, it was really warm, so certainly caught the sun in the afternoon, even though I did fortunately have my hat with me. But we encountered some, well, plenty of wildlife. We even actually saw a couple of deer, fortunately not to get on camera on this occasion. But the walk was another maybe 3 to 4 miles going back and forward all the way around these lagoons, as we would call them. Plenty of wildlife. We saw swans as well as moorhens and what have you. What was caught eye-catching was this like mould, but it's as you can see it was like a winter wonderland. It was covering the trees. It was seed heads, we believe, blown off onto the path, and here's a closer look at them hugging the branches. It was certainly eye-catching and very picturesque. Plenty of fungi attaching themselves to the trees. That one was pretty massive. Here's a couple of ducks, if you look closely, he's feeding a carved owl into the tree. So again, quite a lot to see, quite picturesque. Just finishing off at the far side, wasn't much to see here. There was a heron down by that tree, not that you can see it on here. And from here we just headed back to the car, and I'll put the photos up and just say I hope you enjoyed this different type of vlog. I will be back out to normal next week or the week after, or whenever it may be. But until then, stay safe, have fun. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.